Mathis, can I ask you, are we still in a world where the World Overshoot Day is getting earlier and earlier?
When I was born in 1962, humanity used about half the planet's regenerative capacity. That doesn't mean that there weren't environmental problems. There were some local overshoot, but at a global level, we would have fit on the planet. By now, and we believe our estimates are conservative, we use resources at the rate about 40% higher than what Earth can regenerate, including the absorption of waste. So it takes about a year and 4 to 5 months to regenerate what we use. Or if you translate that in overshoot day, by mid-end September, in a given year, we have used as many resources collectively as humanity as Earth is able to regenerate in the entire year. So that day moves a little bit backwards and forwards. We have seen it move kind of coming closer to us every year. Now we've had a recession, we had an involuntary slowing down that has slowed us down a little bit, but every effort being proposed, perhaps a bit extreme, there's some green efforts as well, but most efforts that are being proposed are trying to get us back on track of overspending.
So roughly when are you projecting World Overshoot Day to happen this year?
Yeah, we are still trying to calculate. It's one of the more difficult years because with the recession, it has shifted the trends a little bit. So it's not a business as usual year, and so we don't know if it's kind of coming back or if it's staying at the same time. Sometime in the end of September.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Can I ask you? You were talking about what government should be doing. Of course, this is 2010, the International Year of Biodiversity.
Correct.
Yeah, and how do you think the world is doing in this year? Are we doing a good job recognizing it, or are we just ignoring it?
Yeah, I'm proud to say the ecological footprint is one of the measures taken on by the Convention of Biological Diversity as a track measure, because our demand on the planet obviously correlates with competing with other species. We are competing for biocapacity, and so as we take more, there's less for the others. It's a bit more complex, the story, but you can read more on our website about it. So essentially, for bears, they would like to know how much we humans take because we're in competition, or the fish I eat is not available for the seal. Now, there are only two measures right now that look at overall time trends, because we set ourselves a time trend goal through the Biodiversity Convention to slow down the rate of biodiversity loss, and we don't even have good tools to measure that. So the two measures are the ecological footprint, which shows time trends where the demand is still going up, and as long as we use more than what Earth can regenerate, it's going to be tough for biodiversity to stabilize. The other measure done through WWF, our good partners, is the Living Planet Index, which doesn't measure biodiversity per se. It measures average population size of vertebrate species in all ecosystems, and we have seen about a 30% decline over the last 30 years in average population size. So there would be now 30% less elephants than there were in 1970. Elephants probably have done worse. Some birds have done better, particularly Canada geese. So it averages out in some ways, but still a 30% decline overall.
Well, some people are saying that the International Year of Biodiversity somehow just hasn't made it into public consciousness yet, and some people are talking about now adopting an international decade of biodiversity rather than a year. What do you think of that idea?
I can sense a certain tiredness, and I think the tiredness comes from a number of areas, probably. One is the economic worries, and I think the incapacity of our economies to recognize the link between resource constraints and economic performance. And we're planning for coming out of the recession through means that, if we succeed, will drive the oil price back to $200. And just push us into the next recession. It's ridiculous. So we are basing our policy on quite fundamentally, I think, unhealthy beliefs. We don't have wrong values, we have wrong beliefs about how the system operates. So that's kind of one way that we are worried we don't see things improve. The second thing is that the stories we tell around sustainability are very poorly framed. They're Sunday school stories. What do you learn in Sunday schools? Most people learn about sins, and they say how interesting, and they try them from Monday to Friday and say, give me some more in the next Sunday school class. And that's kind of the discussion we've in, that actually what we say is the exact opposite, or what people hear is the exact opposite of what the intention is. The whole Copenhagen convention was based on that premise of saying, let's be nice to the planet. How much can I afford to be nice? Rather than saying, my God, my boat has a hole, I better plug it myself. I mean, nobody who has a hole in their boat would go and say, I'm not going to fix my boat until you fix all your boats. What's up with that? It's like in kindergarten. It's like I asked my mother, I remember I was 5 years old, and I had my shoes untied. I said to my mom, what do you pay me for tying my shoes? She said, you fall down, it's your problem, you know? So that's, I wish my mother came to Copenhagen and said, hey, it's your problem. And I think that's, by separating out climate change as just one issue, by even forgetting that it comes from fossil fuel, you know, and by forgetting that energy is one piece that allows us also to access more agricultural capacity, that also depends on water, that also this expansion drives down biodiversity, and that we depend on biodiversity, we are actually part of biodiversity. By forgetting that, by just looking at it so sectorally, we don't see the bigger story of self-interest at the national and city level, and that's stunning.